Hi, everybody. This is Lee, and I'm sharing an article that I read at the Florida Courier. The masthead said that the purpose is sharing Black life statewide. So it's a publication that's aimed towards the Black population of Florida. And it caught my eye because I could have sworn I saw a similar article at Black Agenda Report, and it may be that this publication shares articles. And the title of the article is Here's Why Black People Should Vote Green. And the article is kind of important lately because Florida, as usually is the case, is a hotly contested during the election season. Everybody wants Florida. The voting system, the elections have been controversial in the past. That there's been allegations of fraud and miscounting and tilting the scales and things like that. So Florida's usually controversial. It was controversial during the 2000 election. Al Gore versus George Bush, George versus Pat Buchanan versus Ralph Nader. And while Al Gore is on his way to being sent out by Hillary Clinton to reprimand millennial voters about not costing Hillary Clinton the election, speaking down on high to lecture the people beneath him and Hillary Clinton talking down, lecturing, and pointing the finger, similar to the way that Barack Obama has done. Al Gore is not telling the entire truth about the 2000 election. He's saying that Ralph Nader cost him that election, but the truth is Al Gore cost himself that election. It is his own fault. There were several things that went wrong that he could not correct. Either he could not or he would not correct during his campaign. He chose not to campaign with either Bill or Hillary Clinton because the Monica Lewinsky episode was still fresh in many people's minds. So Bill Clinton did not campaign for him or serve as a surrogate. Al Gore avoided the Clinton machine and ran his own campaign. That was his choice. Ralph Nader did not make him do that. Al Gore chose as his running mate Joe Lieberman, who was a centrist, right-leaning Democrat who made a big deal about how much aligned he was with the Republican Party. That turned off progressives, much in the same way Hillary Clinton is doing today. So again, some things are people's own fault. Anyway, Al Gore totally ignored the progressive wing of the Democratic Party and independent progressives as well, much in the same way Hillary Clinton is doing now. Ralph Nader did not make Gore do that. Gore chose to do that. During the election or the campaigning, Al Gore lost touch with his own home state of Tennessee. His father was a senator of Tennessee, a legislator of Tennessee, and then Al Gore was a congressman himself. Not only was his father, but he was a congressman and then the senator from Tennessee before he was Bill Clinton's vice president. So he was from Tennessee, it was his home state, and then he lost Tennessee. He lost his own home state. Tennessee, the people who raised him up and knew him, rejected him in favor of George Bush. Not only did he lose Tennessee, he lost the 11 electoral votes of Tennessee, which would have gotten him the win for the presidency. That was not Ralph Nader's fault. That was Al Gore's fault. During the contesting of the race in Florida, a few things were overlooked. The fact that the 1994 crime bill that Bill and Hillary Clinton lobbied and enacted triggered the mass incarceration of African American men and women all around the country, certainly in Florida. that cost Al Gore votes too, because when they were incarcerated, convicted of felonies, they lost their voting rights. So right there was a systematic disenfranchisement of black voters in Florida that likely cost the Democratic Party votes to replace the votes of the 13% in Florida who chose to vote for George Bush. So some things are some people's own fault. Al Gore did not address the crime bill. Bill and Hillary Clinton didn't address the effects of the crime bill. It went unnoticed, unchallenged. And then, you know, even it took until even lately for some people to speak up about it. But back in 2000, that was about 5 or 6 years after the crime bill served as a mechanism to incarcerate African American men and women and Latinos. And that was true in Florida. Katherine Harris, the Secretary of State in Florida, was very overzealous in purging these felons and ex-felons from the voting rolls. She was purging and purging and purging people whose names were just similar, who weren't felons themselves but had the same name. So if Joe Brown was a felon, every Joe Brown in the state of Florida was purged from the voting rolls. Katherine Harris did that. Not Nader's fault. What else? So 13% of Florida's voters decided that they preferred George Bush. 13% of the Democratic voters in Florida, just a same reflection all around the country, decided that they would vote for George Bush rather than Al Gore. Ralph Nader didn't make anyone do that either. Getting back to Katherine Harris, there's a famous butterfly ballot that caused forced or confused many voters to accidentally vote for Pat Buchanan rather than Al Gore. So Al Gore lost votes to Pat Buchanan too. He lost 13% of his votes to George Bush, and then he lost a certain percentage to Pat Buchanan. He lost about maybe 1.5% of his votes. He lost to Ralph Nader. So Al Gore lost to everybody in Florida, basically. So to speak, because we know now that Al Gore actually captured more votes in Florida than George Bush did. But there was that famous scrambled recount that Al Gore did not follow through on because he didn't want to be seen as a poor sport. He didn't challenge to complete the recount in the entire state of Florida, just a few counties. And then the Supreme Court steps in and made their decision for George Bush. And then it still wasn't over. There was an opportunity for Al Gore to challenge the Supreme Court via Congress. The Congressional Black Caucus wanted Al Gore to win. They felt that he was the lesser evil, so they preferred him to George Bush. They lobbied the senators in Congress, the congressmen, the African American congressmen, lobbied for a senator to co-sign with them to overturn the Supreme Court's decision. Every single senator refused. Every single Democratic senator refused to support the Congressional Black Caucus. Hillary Clinton had been voted in. She was the junior senator from New York. She had just been voted into the Senate. The Congressional Black Caucus asked her to help. She did nothing. They went to Ted Kennedy. They asked every single progressive, Democratic, liberal senator to assist them with overturning this decision by the Supreme Court. Every senator looked at the Congressional Black Caucus and just stared at them like they didn't even see them or know who they were. They refused to help. So, and then Al Gore gavelled them down to silence them and to stop, the whole conversation about that. So Al Gore basically assisted in his own loss. He was an active participant in his loss in 2000. So he's trying to say it's Ralph Nader's fault, but I think it's time for Al Gore to be a grown up, face reality of what happened in 2000, and acknowledge the role that he played, his decision making, every step along the way during the campaign, during the election, during the voting, and then immediately following the things that he did, and most importantly, the things that he didn't do. That 1.5%, no, that was not the cause of Al Gore's loss. His own refusal to stand up for his voters, demand the full recount, to actually stand up for the Congressional Black Caucus rather than ridiculing them as he did Maxine Waters. That was also his downfall too. Refusing to stand up to Bill and Hillary Clinton regarding the mechanism they put in place that ended up disenfranchising a serious number of African American voters in Florida, which also cost him that state. He didn't stand up for them either. Al Gore, it's time to face reality and responsibility and stop blaming other people for the decisions that you made. Anyway, I'm saying all that, and I'm going to lead into an article because I wanted to provide a little context since Al Gore is going on the campaign trail for Hillary Clinton, acting as her surrogate for the sole purpose of lecturing to and blaming the voters for his shortcomings, and then also blaming the voters for Hillary Clinton's shortcomings. In the same way that Al Gore has refused to take responsibility for the things he didn't do that cost him the 2000 election, now Hillary Clinton is repeating history, blaming other people for the things that she did and didn't do that might cost her the 2016 election. We see so many mistakes and actual criminal acts that she's committed during the primary season. All the shady goings on that occurred that we know now that's been exposed. And yet still she's maintaining the attitude that her struggle for the win is the fault of the voters and not her fault. So I'm going to go through this article. I'm going to post a link in the description. And then hopefully for the millennial voters who weren't aware of the true activities that led to Al Gore's loss in 2000, I would suggest that you explore that for yourself and not let yourself be gaslighted as the Democratic Party, it seems to use that as some kind of campaign strategy, gaslighting the voters. Don't allow yourself to be gaslighted. Find out the truth for yourself. So anyway, there's this article, Here's Why Black People Should Vote Green. It's written by Margaret Kimberly. It's dated October 6th. Speaking of the Green Party, Ajamu Baraka has just finished his debate, the expanded debate that's available at Democracy Now! And free TV, free speech TV and live TV. It's on YouTube, it's on Twitter. You can see that footage where Ajamu Baraka, the vice president for Jill Stein of the Green Party, joined the debate. You can see Jill Stein's first presidential debate. That's also available at Democracy Now! It's at Jill Stein's YouTube, her Facebook, basically wherever things are like that are posted up online, you'll find it. Find out the truth for yourself. There's going to be another debate with Jill Stein. It's going to be October 9th. And so that's coming up, and she's preparing. She's going to be expanding the debate as well. Definitely listen up for information being given to you about the Green Party, so you don't have to depend on what the Democratic Party is saying. You can find out the truth for yourself. Okay, so Margaret Kimberly is saying that it's funny how the Democratic Party is working so hard to get Hillary Clinton elected. They're using Vladimir Putin as a scarecrow to scare voters this way and that. They're using Donald Trump as a scarecrow. Things like that. Hillary Clinton has even gone so far as to say that only she can stop the apocalypse, even though she is the one who wants to start a war with Russia over Syria. And she's announced that herself. A no-fly zone over Syria means an air war with Russia. That's what that means. So not a lot of people want that. We've got military men and women who will have to fight that war. It's not a video game. People die. And so if it can be avoided, we would rather do that. So the Democrats are afraid of people turning away from them towards the Green Party. Jill Stein and Ajamu Baraka seem to be making headway through the smoke and mirrors, the gaslight, the games, the mind games that people are playing. Because Hillary Clinton's campaign is fearful that the Green Party will jeopardize her chances to win the presidency. So that's what's driving her. There's criticism, there's smearing, there's attacks against and lies against the Green Party. They try to say that, use the same things that they said about Bernie Sanders. It's white privilege, male sexist, and I went to the convention because I want to see for myself. I don't let people tell me. I see for myself. And I took footage. It's available on my channel of what the demographic of the Green Party is. It's multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multi-gender. Everything you can think of is there in the Green Party. So what they were trying to say back then, it was lies. And there's also progressives who are trying to drive other progressives towards Hillary Clinton, and they're meeting with resistance. And this is including Bernie Sanders. Also, publications like The Nation, Salon, Huffington Post, Slate Magazine, Daily Beast, people who are reliably progressive in other respects seem to be clinging to Hillary Clinton, the war hawk, the neoliberal, the mass incarcerator, the person who has caused regime changes through countries, in the southern hemisphere. And, we've seen Haiti, Honduras, Venezuela, Ecuador, Brazil. It goes on. And I think that, of course, Syria is another target. So she's saying, Kimberly's saying that a vote for the Green Party is not a protest vote any more than a vote for Abraham Lincoln was a protest vote. People were trying to stop slavery, to abolish slavery, so they voted for Lincoln, the one who was supporting that issue. He won. And now we fast forward to 2016. There are people who want to stop all these regime changes, these military interventions, the fossil fuel consumption, the pollution of our environment, further loss of our jobs. And so they're voting against that. Specifically, a vote against Trans-Pacific Partnership. So they're saying that the Democratic Party's purpose is no longer to serve the people, it's to serve the ruling class. And the fact that Hillary Clinton has done nothing to stop mass incarceration, she's done nothing to stop the attacks against the Native Americans protesting the pollution of their water. She's done nothing, she said nothing. She's participated in the expulsion and deportation of immigrants from Honduras, trying to escape the regime change that she championed. So, who is she supposed to be representing? She's not representing the people. She's representing the ruling class, the oligarchy, the plutocrats, the corporations. And so Kimberly is saying that the party, which with unquestioned support amongst the civil rights organizations like the NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, has actually done more than Republicans to keep the mass incarceration of Black people alive and well. And so they actually, in addition to that, the Democratic Party refuses to use the tools already available, already at everyone's disposal, to punish police who kill extrajudiciously in the street. There's already mechanisms available to prosecute and convict these police. Why hasn't it been done? And so Kimberly is saying that people who call themselves leftists or progressives have a choice. They must replace the Democrats with a truly progressive party. And so she's saying that the Green Agenda opposes American interventions abroad and Democratic Party trade deals, which give corporations personhood and steal jobs away. So the Green Party wants to abolish student debt, close U.S. military bases abroad, establish health care as a human right and not a privilege, and provide constitutional protection for voting rights. All the issues that progressives prefer are contained within the Green Party. So she's saying that the plea to hold your nose and vote for the lesser evil, it's been going on for years. It's just decade after decade, this demand, vote for the lesser evil. And then people wonder why things are getting worse and not better. She's commenting on Barack Obama. She's saying that Barack Obama is not progressive. He ran as a progressive against Hillary Clinton, which is how he was able to win the Democratic primary. And then he won the election. But once he was voted into office, he became what he really was. Basically, Hillary Clinton's near twin in terms of center-right preference for the corporations over the people. She says that Barack Obama made war, a never-ending war, continuing the wars in the Middle East, expanding them with the drone strike, sending more and more servicemen and military to surge, and people have lost their lives. They've had broken bodies. They've suffered post-traumatic stress syndrome from the things that they were forced to do under a Democratic president. Barack Obama promotes austerity for the people, meaning that he takes money away from the people in a form of taxes and then hands it over to the corporations and the oligarchy in the form of the bank bailout. So there was a massive transfer of wealth from the people to the corporations. And so we're told that his administration was progressive, but it wasn't. We're told that we must continue his supposedly progressive administration with Hillary Clinton, but he wasn't a progressive, and neither is Hillary Clinton. She's not even a practical progressive. People try to say that she's a policy wonk, and that's why she's having such a trouble and people don't like her. But all of her policies suck. She's not a policy wonk. Every policy that she's come up with has been a disaster, and she's had to apologize for it or blame someone else for her decisions and try to distance herself from the past policies that she's made. She's horrible at policy. She's just, it's excuses. And so they're saying that Donald Trump is basically a scarecrow who's behaving as an open racist, a bull in the china shop, and that he's being used to direct people towards Hillary Clinton. But she's saying that Donald Trump can't possibly be worse because Barack Obama deported more immigrants than any other president. And so that was also with Hillary Clinton's State Department underneath Barack Obama, too. She co-signed that. So Barack Obama has deported more than any other president ever. So when they say, well, Donald Trump is a xenophobe, he hates immigrants, he's saying what Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton have already done. And now Barack Obama is saying that Hillary Clinton's going to do more of the same. That's gaslighting. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton have deported more immigrants than any other president. Certainly more than Donald Trump, who hasn't deported anyone yet. He's saying that he wants to, but again, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are the ones who have been deporting. You see what gaslighting is now? They're having you think that it's Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't have public office. He's never held public office. Barack Obama was president for 8 years. Hillary Clinton was head of the State Department for 4 years. That deporting of Honduran refugees from other nations, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton did that. So Kimberly is saying that the Democratic Party will soon be history, and they know it. She's saying that Black people might have interest in building a new organization via the Green Party to build the party with your votes. Every 4 years, people are being told that the time is right, that this is not the year, that this election is too important. And basically, this has been said in every election. It's never going to be the right time to build a party to compete with the Democratic Party, according to the Democratic Party. Democratic Party doesn't want competition. Jerry Brown, the governor of California, voted down instant runoff voting options. There was a way to create a safety net for voters so they wouldn't have to do the lesser evil voting, ranked choice voting. He voted down that measure. He's been voting down all sorts of progressive electoral reforms. This is Jerry Brown, the Democratic governor of California. The Massachusetts legislature did the same thing. Democratic controlled legislature. They've been voting down runoff voting, ranked choice voting, all sorts of voting reforms to allow voters to rank their preferences in terms of who they want to be in office. And so it would get away from the lesser evil demands. It's the Democratic Party that continues to vote this down. They don't want that reform. And so when they say, well, it's not the year, you need to do this, you need to do this, it's never going to be the year, according to the Democratic Party. And so that's what Kimberly is discussing here. She's saying that if there is any fear, it should be directed at Hillary Clinton's big tent of the 1% and the imperialists. It should be directed at the people who ended the right to public assistance and filled the prisons with Black people, and that's the Democratic Party. The question, do you want Hillary Clinton to lose, is used to intimidate voters. They're practicing a form of voter intimidation. All these threats, all these dire predictions, all this pressure, it's voter intimidation that's being used by the Democratic Party to manipulate the voters. And so she's saying that people should say, yes, we want Hillary Clinton to lose because we want the Democratic Party to not continue on as it has been. And under Hillary Clinton, not only will it do that, it will be worse. So anyway, so Margaret Kimberly is saying vote green. This article is at the Florida Courier. It's directed towards the Black population, but I think there's something in here for everyone. Definitely do your own research. Don't depend on what Hillary Clinton tells you for sure, what Bill Clinton tells you, what Barack Obama tells you, what Michelle Obama tells you, what Elizabeth Warren tells you, what Bernie Sanders tells you. You need to do your own research and figure out for yourself where your vote should go. If you look at each party's platform and get to know the top four, the Libertarians, the Greens, the Democratic, the Republican, find out for yourself where your vote should go. Don't let anyone tell you that's your vote. Good luck.